Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another great day here of the LCK Summer 2019. I am Valdez. With me is Low Standards, aka LS. We are going to jump into a massive day of games. Both of these should be very, very close and exciting. GRIFFIN versus DAMWON. And, of course, Gen G versus Kingzone later on tonight. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling fantastic. The most exciting thing about today is that Doran is a top laner for GRIFFIN, and we're going to get to find out what is his favorite starting item.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Blade of the Ring of the Shield.
It's probably Corrupting Potion, if I had to guess.
I want to just see him pick Horn. I just want to see him pick Horn.
Yeah.
And start building items.
Get all the items in the game.
Now, the interesting thing is GRIFFIN, I don't know if it was the case for him, but one of their prerequisites in the past, in order to join as like a trainee or something, used to be having to be around 1,000 LP on the ladder,
which is insane.
It's an insane feat on the Korean ladder, and so Doran, I mean, he must be pretty good. We know that he's really good at making items. He has a couple in the game, but how good is he as a top laner, and why is top lane his preferred role? He's trying to say something?
I know, it's kind of weird, right? Doran's coming in here and trying to mix it up. I'm not sure about that, but he's going to have a big test ahead of him, man. He is going up against Nuguri for his first competitive game in the LCK. Not sure how that's going to go for him, as it will be trial by fire, no doubt. Jumping into that top lane, it should be a very fun lane to focus on and talk a lot about here. It's GRIFFIN versus DAMWON. Of course, we are going to get into this one. You guys can see in the middle, it's 13-0 right now. It's the most one-sided matchup in the LCK. GRIFFIN never loses to DAMWON, but I have my money on this today, LS. I think DAMWON's going to strike back and finally take that first win.
Well, the regular split god GRIFFIN started its losing streak versus runaway train DAMWON Gaming put on a break. And this is an interesting point, because GRIFFIN, the same thing happened to them last year after the break, where everything just sort of goes downhill for a little bit. They start to stagnate. They still, or not last year, I'm sorry. Previous split.
Yeah.
Last split, they did manage to salvage everything, pull it together. They ended really high. They went on to the finals, but then they got 3-0'd there by SK Telecom. So, like you're saying, is the streak going to end today? Now, I've been around for such kind of streaks being broken before, okay? The Undertaker lost at WrestleMania.
Okay.
That one was rough. But I'm not entirely sold on if this one's going to end here tonight.
It's a big streak, but it might just be that unlucky number for GRIFFIN. I mean, they're 13-0 so far. You can't blame him for that one. So we'll see just how unlucky they get tonight here, as it's first in KDA up against second in KDA. And a lot of other nice stats here. You'll see that the first blood percentage is actually the lowest in the LCK for DAMWON, where it's the highest for GRIFFIN, which is pretty insane, actually. Not very common to see that kind of stat.
Yeah. And the win rate with first blood, 86.7%. So maybe they're trying to tell us something here with the first blood percent and win rate with first blood percent up against DAMWON. But then the Baron percentage, it's a lot higher for DAMWON. And GRIFFIN has tended to be really slow in a lot of their games, even when they have massive advantages. And now we're going to take a look at some of the highlights here.
This is the Keen highlight, right? Where,
this is the Keen highlight.
Yeah, this is the Freaka Freaks highlight. We're just taking a look at this one here. I mean, yeah, of course, it was a big matchup, this one. GRIFFIN versus Afrika, and GRIFFIN actually ended up losing this one. This was the last match that they did play, and I just want to remind you guys that Afrika just went down to KT last night. So yeah, it's definitely dire straits when you think about GRIFFIN. They're on a bit of a losing streak, and they're not losing to the best teams in the LCK either. So a lot to prove tonight if they want to continue that win streak against DAMWON.
Yeah, they're looking to stabilize. They're looking to get back some of the momentum that they had going for them in the first round. Now we're going to take a look at some of the other highlights for the other team. Okay, well, that's an interesting dynamic. It's the camera angles.
Yeah, kind of hard to see what's going on here. We're zoomed in this much.
Well, this was a highlight of
ShowMaker.
a cheater champion. That was the 0 at the end saying, I did everything, and still died.
So this is the real highlight. Canyon's
J4
Jarvan was insane in the membrane. I mean, this guy just showed up by himself. He was getting 4-man, 5-man cataclysms. He got the lanes rolling for himself. He did some pretty insane stuff here. As, of course, you know, Nuguri has his Vladimir. The ShowMaker has been carrying a bit more in the mid lane. But another thing to note is that DAMWON also lost their last series, and that was up against Kingzone, one of the better teams here. So both of these teams coming off of a losing game, someone is going to have to break that tonight.
Well, let's take a look at the K-player comparison. Tarzan, he's got a couple of first places over there. KDA, damage per minute is second.
Yeah.
Gold per minute, 344. Gold difference at 15, plus 296. But he's not a team player. Okay, 6th in the kill participation department.
He's 4 spots behind, but
Yeah.
he's down 2 point. That is 2, right? Yeah, 2.2%.
And shouldn't we talk about that?
I don't know what it is with me and doing math on stream. Very good off the stream, I swear. You'll just have to take my word for that.
You can take the turn off the calculator.
Yeah, I just had a little bit of delay because I had to punch in the numbers. We're coming into here, and we're going to look at the lineup, and as we mentioned, that's not Sword in the top lane. Doran going to get a massive cheer from all the fans as he comes into his first LCK game here, playing top lane for GRIFFIN.
And like you said earlier on, he has quite a big test going up against Nuguri in the top lane. We'll see how he ends up faring. Maybe he has an interesting champion pick ready. This is the first time GRIFFIN's used a sub, I believe, right? Since Rather, a long time ago.
Didn't they sub in that support player that they had there, Chovy, for maybe Caspa Cup? I'm not sure if that counts. I'm not sure if Chovy has played an LCK game, but he was on the lineup. But I'm not sure if he came in for the LCK, but I think I have seen him before. As over here for the side of DAMWON, of course, the lineup that you've come to expect nowadays. We haven't seen much of Flame or Hoyt or anybody else, really. It just has been these 5 for quite a while.
I guess you can say the flame is out.
Yeah,
right?
You could
see what I did
yeah,
that?
But
my OCD is, okay, shirt, jacket, shirt.
Okay.
All right, they have the synergy there.
And then the coaches ruin it, right?
Then the coaches ruin it.
Is that Nuguri there on the left?
Yeah.
That looks like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead.
Oh my god. You remember that.
I do.
There's some people watching, they're like, who is he talking about?
Yeah, I know. We were talking about this yesterday where it's
Birth year 2002.
people don't know who Frank Sinatra is.
Oh,
Chat,
who?
Yeah, exactly.
No, actually,
you're the youngest caster on the desk, so I wouldn't expect you to know those old people things.
Yeah. You're quite ancient. I do believe that I see some pyramids on your face.
So this is Doran's parents
and brother.
And brother. So they come from an area near Busan. I didn't quite hear the name of that one, but it is nearby Busan, which is all the way down south of Seoul, or not Seoul, Korea. So they have come a long way to make it up to Seoul. It takes about 2.5 hours by the fast train, but you can take a bus. It's like 4 or 5 hours. It's, you know.
I'm supposed to go to Busan Monday, maybe.
Oh, there you go. Taking a nice little beach vacation, LS?
Well, Max is going to Japan.
A lot of sand.
Perhaps. Lots of sand. I do want to visit Hyundai. That looks like Kirby. Is that Kirby? I think that was Doran's ring? That looked like
was that
Binky.
Doran?
That looked like a Binky to me.
Yeah,
that was a
kind of.
pacifier.
Yeah.
That was not entirely sure, but
yeah.
What's your money on for the first item?
First item?
Don't even tell me that he sells out and gets a corrupting potion. That would be like the CEO of McDonald's in line at Burger King.
He's going to pick up the Vladimir. He's going to steal it away in an epic show of fighting against Nuguri, and then he's going to go Doran's ring. He's going to take the build away.
Chovy heard you. He was laughing, and then you finished your line, and he's not amused.
He looks really angry now.
Yeah,
actually.
he is. He's serious.
Like, God, those English casters don't know what they're talking about.
It's all right. No big deal.
Yeah. Well, we're almost ready to jump into pick ban, or the ban and pick. Sorry, LS.
Pick ban is being delayed. Valdez, let's talk a little about teamfight tactics.
Okay.
Let's talk about the important.
Yeah, we have a little bit of time here.
How are you liking it?
I'm good. I'm in Bronze 3 now. I played some games.
Said let's talk about teamfight tactics.
Hey, there's
not
no
League of
Annie in the
Legends.
game, okay? I'm trying.
She was disabled due to the Annie permanent
Well,
stun bug.
yeah, of course. What are you gonna do? You got in there and you hacked the system. You
Just
made her
don't
too
even-
strong.
Don't even play ranked if that's the case. People are trying to get gold in a couple of months for the end of the season rewards.
Oh boy.
They're gonna make sure
The
that
gold rush.
Yeah, the gold rush.
Yeah.
So you're gonna need Annie for that. Oh, this looks like
That's Vladimir.
Count. You know what I'm talking
Count
about?
Chocula.
Count Chocula.
Yeah.
And did you ever play Saturday Night Slam Masters?
No, I have not. I don't know what that
I
is.
think his name is Haggard. That's
Haggard?
who the other guy looks
Okay.
like. Some old Super Nintendo
All right.
fanatics.
We'll have to take. You'll
Yeah.
have to take your word for that one, Ellis. As we are going into the pick ban for game number 1, as Karthus going to be taken away here. There's around 2 or 3 junglers that will just pick up the Karthus, and it has gone up way a huge amount in terms of priority. So that's immediately going to be taken away.
Well, it's responded with a Lux ban, which is then met with a Karma ban. I'm hoping that we don't see any bans allocated towards a Mordekaiser or a Kiana.
Oh boy.
I think Mord's really bad.
We
How do you
saw
feel?
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Jin Air, and they were against SKT. So he played this build where he would just survive against dives, and it looked good for one time, but then they just revisited him after all of his cooldowns were still on cooldown.
Sir Tomish. Tomish, you like that?
Sir Thomas.
He's Amish.
Yes.
He's gonna be Amish come next patch, I'll tell you that
Oh
much.
boy.
He's missing a bit of technology that's gonna keep
Yeah.
him relevant. But you know who's not is Aatrox, as he's locked in here
Yeah.
as the first pick for Griffin.
My favorite champion, Aatrox. Big fan. As, again, that could be a Doran champion, that could be a Tarzan champion, that could be a Chovy champion. Hell, I mean, I would even give credit to Lehends for playing in the support role. We never really know what's going to happen with that kind of flex, especially when it's Aatrox, the most picked champion currently in the LCK. And it's responded to with Jayce and Ezreal.
Jayce and Ezreal are both really interesting, but it does sort of show a team composition sort of face up. It's going to be poke almost regardless. There's very few mid laners that can allow them to recalibrate their draft into something else. And so now Griffin, they're locking up the Nautilus. He's really good at crashing through poke champion team compositions. Just sort of presses that R, they tend to die. Kai'Sa, another ADC that has easy access to the backline, says, I don't really care about your range. I'm going to get onto you. So now it's handed back over to DAMWON. And what is going to be their champion choice?
Good old Kai'Sa has been put in the dumpster for the win rate so far, but I think your point stands. They see the 2 poke champs and they're like, well, we're just going to hard engage, as it's followed up with another one. Corki is going to get locked in. We saw what Corki and Lucian can do in terms of poke yesterday. How about 3 poke champions that are quite good in their own right?
Yeah, this is all we need is Nidalee to round
Yeah,
this out.
get her
We
in
need
there.
get Nidalee in here, and then, well, Lux is banned. Get Nidalee in here, and then get Fiddlesticks.
What?
What?
Fiddlesticks? Yeah.
What
I
other
mean,
poke champion would you want?
Bounces like once or twice.
Could get
How about
Zyra.
Heimerdinger?
Get out.
What are you talking about? He's got great poke. Zoe was another one. But they banned that away.
Braum being banned away, that's a really good
Yeah.
support ban, because Braum, he has the 2 modes. He's able to go aggressive and engage, in especially poke champions, able to really utilize both modes of himself, but the defensive mode, being able to peel with his ultimate and the shield that he has, it's really quite obnoxious, especially if you're just trying to dive in with 1 or 2 members, which currently that's all that Griffin has in terms of dive potential. Getting tongue-tied.
Yeah, potency. As BeryL is going to lock in the champion he is most known for nowadays. Played it way back. We saw him, I think, maybe in the Kespa Cup, and then he came out with it in Rift Rivals and really wowed everybody. I feel like that's his Pokemon, is the Alistar for now, and the Vladimir is available. I kind of memed about Doran taking away Nuguri's champion. We do have an opportunity to see that here with the Vladimir locked in.
Let's see what their final pick is going to be. It's going to most likely be for Tarzan. Don't assume that they're going to flex the Aatrox into the jungle, and it will be a Sejuani. And so that's their way of trying to combat the poke. They have massive amounts of dive. You have the Nautilus that presses the R on whatever champion you're trying to isolate. Kaisa, Vladimir, and Aatrox all want to reach the back line. And now it's on DAMWON to try to shut that down. One champion that would be really good at doing so, well, they're going to pick the Sylas, so I'm actually just going to stop right there.
Yeah, just cut that thought process right off at the head, as DAMWON say no to that immediately. They pick up the Sylas, which is another good answer to the Sejuani jungle, but not the one we saw yesterday a bunch of times in the Trundle.
And DAMWON, their team composition is not able to handle Baron. They are on red side, so they have the ability to protect against Baron attempts by playing inside of their red side jungle, just controlling the area around their red buff and throwing everything into the Baron pit if GRIFFIN would try to do anything there. So GRIFFIN, they're looking for some sort of massive spike around the 25-minute mark that can converge into Baron, and they want to roll Mountain Drakes. But if they can't do that, DAMWON's going to have an easy time. If we take a look at the team compositions one last time, Nautilus, Kaisa, Aatrox, Sejuani, and Vladimir. The team composition wants to get to 1.5, 2 items, and then go super hard at DAMWON and try to end the game and capture Baron, and do that before DAMWON can get to 3, 4 items, and then the poke just becomes very, very scary. Jayce, Sylas, Corki, Ezreal, and then the camera's panning to it. Right at the very end there is Alistar. There's a lot of modes this team composition has. It has Siege, it has Poke, it has Disengage, it has Kiting. It has so much flexibility, but the main thing is going to be holding on and stabilizing.
We'll see if they can pull that off here. A big matchup as Doran will debut in the LCK right now up against Nuguri with his Vladimir. Doran stealing that away as we're hopping onto the Rift for Game 1, and we are hopping off of the Rift for a pause. So we are going to have to wait and see what the problem is in the end here. We saw yesterday Corki and Lucian do an incredible job of just kiting back. KT were able to use that really well, but now we've got even more poke and more siege. And it's a fun composition. You also get ShowMaker on his Corki that he's playing a lot nowadays. So I'm kind of excited for them. I would side with their draft for this time, but we'll see if GRIFFIN can play to their win potential and potentially just go diving and force engages like they would want to.
Well, like I said, ooh. Look at, they're having such a nice time. Reminds me of Eevees in the wild. What? Eevee? The Pokemon.
Yeah, no, I know. I wanted to listen to the fans give their cheers, but you decided not to. As Corki has gone Klepto. He wants to pick up all the coins, you know.
Well, there's some taunting going on here. That Aatrox has some pretty
Look at that butt
moves.
micro. Did you see that?
That was pretty impressive. A lot of squats are needed.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Two mid laners. Corki here for ShowMaker. And Doran picking up Nuguri's Vladimir. This guy, we saw him on, I believe it was KEG Seoul in the Kespa Cup, so it's not the first time we've seen him here in Korean competitive play, but I believe this is his first time playing in the LCK, and he's coming out with a bang as he'll be looking to continue the win streak with his team here for GRIFFIN, 13-0 in game score. That's not even like series score or anything like that. Just DAMWON have not won a game against GRIFFIN. Every time it's 2-0.
Well, let's see if they can change that up here tonight, as they have a composition that wants to go late. And maybe that's actually beneficial against a newcomer who can maybe get a little bit panicked in late stage or end game scenarios. But so far in this game, Sylas, he's going to be starting out with a full clear on his red side jungle, it looks like. And Tarzan going to be mirroring that, but the vision control will go over to the side of DAMWON. They're going to have intel on the left-hand side of the map. And the onus early game will mostly be on Canyon to just make sure that none of the laners have any influence done by Tarzan, so that they can just keep getting advantages.
Speaking of which, down here on the bottom side is Tarzan, as BeryL will have to flash away from that one. Nice response as Tarzan just taking a little detour to take a summoner away from the Alistar, and will go for an immediate back.
So Tarzan's going to recall here. He's going to path to his blue side jungle. And then we saw that the pings went out. Another pause. By the way, we do get to see that Doran does prefer the shield.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So I was wrong on the choice there. No Doran's ring. No correct prediction for me.
Well, now we know that the shield is the best one.
I mean, he showed us all right here today.
Vladimir sometimes takes Doran's ring, but now we know the truth.
How about Doran's blade, Vladimir? You don't think so?
Nope.
No?
Definitely not. Valdez.
Nuclear's having a frame rate issue, so we are looking into this one. Sorry about the delay, guys, as we want to make sure, especially for these matches between four incredible teams tonight, that everybody has all of their equipment ready and able.
You know, I've always been curious, right, about the frame rate graphics issues and stuff that attributes to quite a lot of pauses. In the sense that when you utilize your home PC or something, it doesn't tend to happen all that often, but I guess because the players are just used to coming from their main setups to this setup, everything's not identical, you can have some stuff.
It's Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. You ever watch SpongeBob LS?
No.
No?
No.
Wait, really? No?
I watched SpongeBob a little bit, but I do have to say I am a fan of Mr. Krabs.
Okay. Why is that?
He seems like he's my kind of guy.
Kind of reminds you of Coin Emperor Tom Kench. Something like that.
It really does. Mr. Krabs seems like an outstanding citizen that really knows how to run a business.
He's a big fan of the capitalism that they have going down there in Bikini Bottom.
What please roll back, Sylas. Oh, man.
So we had the FLICKR faces yesterday, and today we have the giant Chovy face. DAMWON white team. And a Viper fan there on the left.
That is a Kirby.
He has it. There
he has
is
the Doran's ring.
That
is a Doran's ring, but why does a Kirby want a ring? Maybe it's like one of those ring pops. Did you ever have those as a kid?
Yeah, those are great.
Those were amazing.
Yeah. How about push pops? You ever have push pops?
Oh, I loved push pops.
Yeah.
Until
what?
Never
What are you
mind.
trying to say?
No.
Until.
You know what? Ring pops are just the best. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. How about the fun dip?
The what?
Fun dip.
I never had that.
What do you mean? You and I grew up in the same area of the United States.
No,
okay?
no. I was a couple of states over.
That doesn't count. It's the Northeast.
You know what's always tragic though is whenever Koreans ask me where I'm from, I always just have to say New York.
Really?
Because if I say my actual state, Rhode Island, they're gonna be like, what?
Where's that?
A Rhode Island?
Like, have you ever heard of Providence? They're like, you mean the movie? Or what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Oh man. All right, how about this?
We all know you're from Summoner's Rift, LS.
Have you ever had Surge, the drink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Real tragedy about that.
I mean, it's fine. How about Tang? You ever have that drink?
What?
Tang.
No.
It's like
you ever have Amped or Volt?
No,
Those are both
I don't
really
think
good.
So. I don't think so.
Okay, you're deprived.
I mean, here's the guy that's never had Tang saying I'm deprived.
I don't even know what that is.
It was like an artificial orange drink. It tastes like orange. There's no other description for it. Like, that's all it was. But it was great. I mean, you pour in the powder and then you pour in the sugar. It's like a more sugary Kool-Aid. It's like orange flavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Not a fan of that.
You should try it. You become a fan. You get addicted very easily with that much sugar.
Oh, it still exists.
I don't know actually. Probably
not.
on
eBay.
I don't think that. I don't think that should be legal. Actually, the amount of sugar. But we do have a game of Legends going on here. Playing in this league. As we do have Nuguri doing his Jayce things up on the top side. Making Doran struggle just a bit to start us off here.
So far,
is the way.
All the lanes are ahead in the CS department. Corki also has a call to boot. And this is exactly the kind of start that DAMWON would want. But the first dragon is also in their favor. The stars are aligning right now, Valdez.
Yeah.
For DAMWON to finally break the curse and defeat GRIFFIN here today. So we'll see if they're able to do it. Canyon looking for a gank right now in mid lane. Not going to be able to find anything.
The way you say DAMWON is really interesting, too. You say it like DAMWON, which always reminds me of Tom Dwan. You remember that? That was his name, right?
Tom Dwan, Durr.
Yeah,
yeah.
The poker guy.
Yeah, the poker guy.
That you introduced me to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought I'd mention that because it sounds exactly the same every time you say it. DAMWON.
You know, as you're saying this right now, do you know what popped up in my head?
Yeah,
Why
what?
can't I speak today? The Bob Ross, like, leaning emote on Twitch.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know that one?
Like Bob's listening. I don't know the name of the emote, but yeah. It's like cool story, bro, basically. I'm listening, yes.
Oh, my God.
It's not super popular. You don't see it all the time. As Doran's just playing ultra safe. I mean, you could tell. He's getting really far behind on CS. He's playing a hard matchup for the Vladimir, of course. I mean, he picked the Vladimir into the Jayce, so he knew what was coming. Specifically for the later game, once he gets 2-3 items, so he can go for flank attempts, you know, teleport flank attempts, and get the dive going with his team. So, kind of expected that he's losing the lane so far.
Well, they must know or have a sense that Sejuani is bottom. They do know now. BeryL
no
doesn't
flash
have
here.
flash.
Oh, and he's only level 4. This should be an easy kill. Down onto BeryL. First blood will be handed over to Tarzan. Great timing there as they're just essentially able to walk up to BeryL, and there's no escape.
Yeah, and this is one of the worst lanes to fall behind in if they do it. The Kai'Sa is really, really scary if she's going to be able to get ahead. Meanwhile, though, we pan up to top lane. Doran, he's having a bit of a rough time here against Nuguri. Nuguri's so angry that his Vladimir was taken.
Should have gone Doran's ring.
Yeah, he should have gone Doran's ring.
He'd have an extra potion. Notice, by the way, he went super low, and he did not take his potion.
Yeah.
He's just chilling there. He's like, yeah, sure.
I'm
fine,
not in lethal.
I'm fine. Yeah.
And he also knows that Sylas is on the right-hand side of the map, especially because the early game has been so slow that every time the junglers do end up appearing, you can know with certainty what their route is just by counting their CS. As we take a look at this, you can see Canyon, he's too far away on the left-hand side. BeryL, he ends up going down relatively easy. Nuclear trying to get as much value out of his Kleptomancy on the left-hand side as possible. And Tarzan now, he's level 6, but he's going to still need to make more things happen. Chovy and Doran are both pretty behind right now, all things considered. There's also a turret plate that's already gone down. Look at the ping onto Sedge on the mini-map right now.
She just cleared out a ward that was on that control ward, so they know exactly where he is. Yeah, he's level 6 now, so you would expect something to happen here as Doran getting way too close, but a nice flash away with the Hemoplague. Gets Nuguri extremely low on the backside. Thought maybe he'd be in range for the one last auto attack, but Doran is able to get away unscathed.
And that's ultimately going to be a win for Doran up there in the top lane. Jayce not having his flash, he's going to have to respect the Sejuani that much more. And so it will potentially lead to some of the pressure being removed. He does have the Executioner's Calling, which it doesn't just only have effectiveness against the Vladimir here. It's very powerful against the Aatrox later on as well. So GRIFFIN still struggling to really stabilize the other lanes, and bottom lane, even despite some of the pressure relief that has been given to them at several points, Nuclear is not that far behind.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well so far to hang in there in that lane, even with a couple of ganks already, as now everybody on GRIFFIN hanging around the bottom side here, trying to get control around that Ocean Drake. I don't know if they're going to start that just yet, but BeryL, he does have his flashback, so they're definitely not going to go for him, especially now that Alistar is level 6. As Doran here, I feel like he's really putting up a good fight, all things considered. He's getting dreadfully behind in CS, but again, it is Jayce and it is Nuguri.
He's making some errors with his spacing on the Vlad. Perhaps a little bit stressed or panicked right now. He's almost down 30 CS.
Yeah.
And he's already down that turret plate. You can see that Tarzan, he's going to come up. He's going to take a wide arc. And this is the best possible way to approach.
Oh, Nuguri just jumped in. He knows he's dead. He's clearing minions. He's like, all right, I know what's coming now. There's no escape for him as he's just trying to get some gold. That's going to be a kill given over to Doran here on his debut on GRIFFIN.
Yeah. And Canyon now, they're going to respond by trying to capture an open Drake. And it's not super terrible if they can get a few more for them, but they might actually just be doing GRIFFIN a favor by capturing this. And so I'm not so sure about the decision. I'll talk more about why later.
They want to fight here. Sejuani didn't use her ultimate in the top side. Lehends, perfect timing there on the stopwatch. They reposition, and GRIFFIN are making easy, quick work of DAMWON here around the Ocean Drake. Drake goes DAMWON's way, but GRIFFIN pick up 3 kills.
Yeah, so I have no idea what DAMWON was just doing right now. Capturing that dragon, it doesn't really provide them with anything. We've seen before on the cast, when I know I've cast with you before and told you, pay attention to the region here, it's very, very pathetic. So even though you're a poke comp, doesn't really do that much. But first, we take a look at the replay here. Tarzan, he took a wide arc in order to have the most effective time still being in the fog of war in the event that there was a pink ward inside of that river brush. And then right here, DWG Gaming, they're getting an open dragon, but they're not a team comp that can really tank the Baron. They're not looking for early Barons or anything like that. And so there's 2 things that can go wrong here. One is not happening on your screen. The other is that a Mountain or an Infernal Dragon spawns next, and that would be occurring at a spike in the game that would be favorable for GRIFFIN, in which case it would be very unlikely that they could capture the second Drake.
That's absolutely true. At least the Ocean has spawned here. As in the replay, we got Doran's mother there on camera as well. She was like, what's going on? Not 100% sure, but her support is very well appreciated here, no doubt, from GRIFFIN and Doran. So perhaps a couple more games and she'll learn, you know, the basics of what is going on. All she has to know is it's a very good thing for GRIFFIN so far.
Rift Herald potentially on the menu right now for both of these teams. Tarzan waiting in the river brush. Some of the wards end up getting cleared out. Nuguri still with a CS advantage over the Vladimir. He does still have more gold than his opponent, but the tides are about to turn in Griffin's favor in coming minutes here with some of these item completions across the board. Even though ShowMaker, he has this Trinity Force, there's this tipping point where the team composition sort of lean each way. Wow.
Oh, he got in range for the ultimate. In goes Viper. Oh, but the ultimate is going to keep him alive. Viper just one more auto, and the guy was dead, but he wasn't able to thread it through.
And the thing that is so tragic about that is that Tarzan's on the bottom half of the map. They know that Sylas is on the left side of the map. So even if Viper commits his flash for killing the Alistar, they can then sort of just hold Ezreal underneath the turret. Tarzan can path down to bottom, and they can kill Nuclear or force him off the turret and convert it into turret plates. But really cautious play there by Griffin is going to mean that that's not an option.
They did not pick up the kill. They don't pass, go, and pick up $200. So kind of unfortunate for them, no doubt, as Jelly is being started here by both sides, it looks like, but it is after 14 minutes. So nobody's really going to value that as highly as they would if there were turret plates. But definitely a big swap up to the top side by BeryL, just hanging around just in case, as DAMWON now are thinking about starting it.
Teleport now even being committed.
Wow.
By
They
Nuclear.
really want
Someone
this.
needs to tell DAMWON that the turret plates fell, and that right now fights favor Griffin. Oh man.
Okay, well, DWG are able to get it. They're going to ultimate here on a Chovy, but he just turns around on that one. Canyon is going to stopwatch in their face, is able to flash away, as nobody is quite able to get on the top side of DWG there. So DWG actually able to make that play happen with the teleport, but Griffin trying to rotate into mid and get some damage done.
They're going to get into mid lane there. It also looks like Tarzan's going to be able to steal away some of the Raptors. As it does look like Canyon, he just hit level 9. Not sure how deep Tarzan is into level 9, but important to note. So they pick up the Rift Herald, but there's no turret plates to capture. And so it was a very heavy commitment that now the lane allocations post-Herald will end up favoring Griffin. And so very interesting decisions here by DWG around the first two objectives of Ocean Dragon and Rift Herald.
You can see where they value some of these objectives, whereas some other teams would not. I like their commitment to it at least. They say, we really want this ocean drink. We are going to try really hard to pick it up as another pause. The third one of the game is going to be enacted here. Gotta wonder what's the problem now.
Well, it looks like it's another DWG gaming pause.
And the ref is over here at Nuclear's computer again, so must be his issue with the frame rate lag or something that's going on his computer. Worst case scenario, especially with the second complaint, we'd have to go get a new computer, plug it all in, reconnect them to the game, and then start it up again. But we do have to confirm that, in fact, there is an issue first.
See what the verdict ends up being.
Yeah, I mean, Nuclear is playing Ezreal, and I feel like that is one of the champions where you can feel it a lot. If you are going to have a problem, and you want to make sure that everything is tip-top shape when you're playing that champion, where the skill shots all really matter.
They do.
Yeah.
They really do, Valdez.
It's a big deal if you're playing Ezreal. High-level analysis you guys are looking for here at the LCK. You want to hit your Qs and your Ws, and if possible, hit your R. E is kind of targeting, so just don't go forward too often.
Well, in this game, he's going to need to hit quite a lot of them in coming moments. But the onus will be on Griffin in order to make team fights actually happen. If DWG Gaming can realize that the Ocean Dragon...
Ooh, okay. There was an issue when Nuclear rejoined the game, but it seems like we're about to get into the game once again with the resume. So, Lehends fan on the left. What is that?
We have a lot of Griffin fans here today that actually have Griffin jerseys. And the DAMWON jacket apparently is going on for sale. I saw, I think Ashley Kang tweeted about it recently.
I can't.
You know what that sign actually looks like? Mandark.
What's
you ever watched? How did you not watch Dexter?
Oh yeah, I never saw that.
Not the serial killer.
Oh,
series.
I saw a little bit of it. I don't really remember some of the characters though.
Okay.
It was a while ago. Good old Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going on a big push in the mid lane as Griffin don't seem to be in position for this one. And DAMWON turned that Rift Herald into a turret capture in the mid lane.
Oh
boy.
So they end up getting the first turret of the game, which is quite good for them. And now, like I was mentioning, can DAMWON Gaming identify that Ocean Dragon does nothing for Griffin? They can slow down, refuse to teamfight against Griffin, and just continue to scale up, and then say, hey Griffin, what are you going to make us fight over? Because without an early Mountain Dragon, they're not going to have the easiest time doing the Baron. And then, to boot, as I already mentioned, DAMWON being red team, it's very easy for them to stop and stall Baron attempts from the protection of the red side jungle right over the wall. So Griffin are gonna be in a little bit of a pickle.
You remember Red Side Varus when we were casting in 2017? How crazy that was? On the Red Side Varus and, well, Lethality Varus and, of course, Jayce. The two of them could deny Barons and poke over the wall ridiculous amounts. And you're talking about a similar situation here with the amount of poke that DAMWON have on their lineup. So it is something to keep in mind as we do move forward.
Well, looks like the game is slowing down a little bit, but Canyon maybe looking to make something happen here against Chovy. Gold score has swung back in the direction of DAMWON. Now the scary thing is the second item completions for Griffin are going to line up with that Infernal Dragon. So we'll see if capturing the Ocean Drake when you're the superior scaling team is going to matter for them in the later stages of the game, but it could come back to bite them.
Yeah, I mean, at least they will never have mana problems if you get a couple of Ocean Drakes. But the point is definitely still standing, as you were saying. And I mean, DAMWON are going to be okay to just pick up those two Drakes. They got the mid lane tier 1. It gives them a lot more map control. They can put their vision forward a little bit more. And they can just deny fighting even more because of that. And that will just allow them to scale up and be in a position that they exactly want to be in. So if I'm sitting here as a DAMWON fan, I'm feeling pretty happy.
Yeah. Doran, he's still just farming up on the Vladimir. He's going to need a Miracle Engage in the later stages of the game. The other scary thing as well is that Sylas, he has a lot of good ultimates to take as the game continues on. And how are Griffin going to wiggle their way out of this one if the game goes another 10-15 minutes? We're really just watching the next 6 minutes or so. That is going to heavily decide how the game will likely end up going. It could even actually just have the game be decided by around the 25-minute mark, because that's really the tipping point. And with how these two teams are playing here in this game, they seem to be playing extremely safe and methodical, and even though Griffin has those 5 kills, it doesn't really matter all that much. They need to be making sure that they get a gold advantage here.
Yeah, but don't really see a sense of urgency so far from the side of Griffin, where it's really DAMWON making most of the rotations, most of the plays here. See, Tarzan is hanging around the bottom side. He's had his Glacial Prison available for quite a long time now, just hanging out and not really forcing much. And ShowMaker comes up top side, and Doran is no match for him right now. It's just a Corki with a Trinity Force and a BF sword, but it's enough, as Doran really just has an item and a half, and he's a Vladimir, and we need more time. So they get the good matchup up there, and apparently in the bottom lane, they're able to do the same thing and take another turret away. So DAMWON, I feel like, are just playing this situation much better.
As long as they can make sure that they're the ones with first priority to right side river, getting the dragon, having the advantage, having the low ground is going to be important here. They never told you about that in the director's cut, okay?
No. You can see BeryL, he doesn't waste any time to ultimate immediately. You know, they're not scared of using cooldowns as long as nobody gets caught. Offers GRIFFIN an opportunity to take a Baron or any other big objective or anything like that. Take a look at the mid lane, actually, here. It's almost 1,500 gold ahead for ShowMaker over his lane opponent of Chovy right now. And again, this is Kleptomancy Corki in the mid lane. Didn't see if he picked up a cull. I think I saw a cull in this game. He doesn't have it now, but he sold it. So, I mean, he's just doing the most greedy build, and he's getting away with it big time.
50 seconds until the Infernal Dragon. Corki already at 2 items, like you mentioned. He's doing okay in the CS department.
Right. Yeah.
229 at 21 minutes and 45 seconds. Canyon coming in here trying to steal away some of the Raptors. As you can see the posturing for the Infernal, and this is critical point in the game. Oh no. Well, ShowMaker, he sniffed out the Sejuani. The Infernal Dragon needs to just be absolute top priority for both of these teams. You can see ShowMaker, he's going the long way around. He's taking a bit of a detour. You ever been driving, you have to go on a detour? It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I know, it's an awful feeling. Especially if you don't know where you are.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of obvious, but that would make it a lot worse. As we did just get a recall there from the side of GRIFFIN, but Viper is going to join up very quickly as everybody focusing here on the Infernal.
Here it is. This is critical game point. Can Tarzan steal the Infernal?
Tarzan gets in the pit, and it is going to go the way of the Sylas. Somehow, as Tarzan is not going to be able to steal that one, a huge true shot barrage. Lots of damage as we're trying to focus on Tarzan here in the pit. Viper's going to get into it, but a big knock-up from BeryL is going to keep them all alive. But now they're all stuck in the pit. Can GRIFFIN do anything? It looks like the answer should be no, as ShowMaker's also going to flash the wall. And this just might be an ace if Nuclear can make it. It's just going to be Lehends surviving as DAMWON crushed GRIFFIN in the Dragon Pit.
They annihilate them so hard and so decisively that so many of their members are still so high HP, and so now the double open dragon is going to come into effect. They're going to be able to tank the Baron, and because there's just not enough members of GRIFFIN left alive to try to slow them down and poke them, they're going to be able to just capture it, and with the extra damage from the Infernal Dragon coming in as well helps out with that. There's no way GRIFFIN come back into this game. Wasn't quite 6 minutes, it was more like 5, but we're there, Valdez.
Yeah, a little bit fast on the script, but you can see the poke damage immediately comes out. Tarzan's kind of trapped here in the pit, and then take a look at BeryL. Knocks up the 2 members that are trying to do damage. It's pretty huge in this one.
Yep. DAMWON, they find a really good engage right there. It was really coming down to, can Tarzan steal it away? Because if he can, they can sort of disengage it and just play defensively from there and look to take a team fight somewhere around left side river. But because they don't do that, look at the items right now on the side of GRIFFIN. They're still slowed down considerably. And DAMWON now with the Baron, they're going to be in the driver's seat, and it's going to convert into the scaling tipping point, which I mentioned already, but they're already accelerated too. Can't see a world where GRIFFIN wins.
It will be incredibly difficult. I mean, we've seen GRIFFIN come from behind in other games where they've had Kai'Sa comps and they've been able to pull off the perfect team fight, but I feel like with the amount of poke and just how good a team DAMWON is, I don't think they're going to let the Griffin come back into this game, but we'll have to wait and see as Chovy now trying to come over the wall here, but he's all alone as Doran trying to come from behind, but he gets bursted down immediately. Viper nearly takes out Nuclear, and he will go down, though, as BeryL tanking the front line. ShowMaker and Nuguri still alive doing that damage. Chovy going to get that reset, but is it enough? It looks like way too much damage here from ShowMaker and Canyon and Nuguri. Everybody on the side of DAMWON. Just going to destroy Griffin again in a fight that Griffin was looking for.
And this is one of the main problems, too, is you can't just take down the Ezreal and think that they don't have an AD carry. They have 2 more. And at this stage of the game, this is at least going to be the middle inhibitor. Now, if you look at the side lanes, they could make a potential play to push on and maybe snipe a Nexus turret, sacrificing 1 or 2 members, and it would be okay, because during the death timers, there would be nothing for Griffin to accomplish with the way that their side lanes look. And so you would get a Nexus turret even though you sacrifice a little bit of gold, but it doesn't matter because you're scaling better. But here in the replay, Chovy, World Ender, currently still has the passive, comes in with Doran, but a little bit of mistiming there. They end up sniping the Ezreal at the very beginning. The cow goes down slightly there after Chovy. He's in his passive, but it's not really going to matter. He's going to spawn in the middle of everyone. He ends up flashing away, but in the end, it ends up being completely useless. Ends up wasting his flash as DAMWON, they pushed on for the inhibitor. They have almost a 7,000 gold lead, not including the Infernal Dragon.
Yeah. It's a lot of things stacked on top of each other now for DAMWON as they are feeling the love from the Corki, who, remember how we said he had 2 items? After that fight, he went back, he picked up QSS and Ezreal. Now he's got a rapid fire cannon. I mean, this guy is just unbelievably rich. I would love to take a look at how much gold he's got piled up right now, but as you mentioned, you can blow everything onto Nuclear, and maybe you can get that Dream engaged, but I feel like that was Griffin's one opportunity. They're going to try once again here, but Canyon with the stopwatch is going to survive. ShowMaker is going to reposition here on the right side. Big knockup by BeryL again. As you can see, Viper going to get exhausted. He's trying to do what he can, but the Dunkerino, Nuguri and the Corki together, a couple of missiles, and they take out 2. And that's going to be game number 1, easily going to DAMWON Gaming.
And DAMWON now, they're just going to raise the Nexus turrets. There is nothing Griffin can do but look on with their gray screens as the Nexus explodes. We're going to go into game number 2. Does this mean that Doran is going to be subbed out for Sword?
I'd say 105 billion quadrillion %. If they don't do that, I'm not sure what's going on.
You know, there's not a Doran Sword for a reason. All right.
Yeah, just the little dagger there. But yeah, I mean, that was an incredible game from DAMWON. I feel like Griffin made some mistakes. They were losing in a lot of the lanes. They weren't able to pressure DAMWON really at all with the comp that they had.
Doran on the Vladimir up there, he was hemorrhaging in terms of a CS deficit, and he was absolutely just bleeding lane control over to Nuguri. You just couldn't help but do anything about it, and even though Tarzan came up once and tried to offset the pressure, it just didn't matter, and top lane just sort of bled out. Whereas meanwhile, in mid lane, the call completed by the Corki super early on, also the Kleptomancy, the acceleration that Corki had was phenomenal. And again, the bot lane pressure didn't seem to matter. They had an opening to really bust bot wide open. Viper didn't want to flash, and had he done it, killed the cow, and then Tarzan passed down to bottom, they could have definitely gotten so much gold on the turret, zoned Ezreal off of so much, and maybe utilized a tempo swing, but those type of plays, don't get to see them too often.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's been plaguing Griffin now for 2-3 games in a row where they've been struggling and not picking up wins. They get 2-0'd by Genji, and then they go down to a FLICKR 2-1. Whereas DAMWON looking more solid than ever. I feel like Nuguri, he's a guy that plays on confidence, bordering cockiness actually at times. And when he's up against a new player, a younger player, a rookie, he just comes out in almost a different tier than what we're used to from Nuguri. Ooh. So fun stuff to see.
Sword's not in the coach box.
Yeah, he's not.
Is he here?
If he's not in the box talking about what happened with the game, then I doubt he's here, which is actually a good read by you, LS. That means that probably we are not going to see Sword subbed in.
Ooh.
And they're looking to make a big move towards Doran, perhaps. Or maybe he's got something going on. We don't exactly know. But this graph tells the story. I mean, Nuclear wasn't the 80 carry in this one. It was Corki and Nuguri there in the top side. So.
Well, that's going to be interesting. That's going to mean that Doran is here for game number 2.
You'd have to imagine. I mean, it's not confirmed, but that's the way it looked.
Yeah. And what are they going to do now in game number 2? Game 1, they had a draft that should have favored them with early game dominance, converting it into mid-game priority. They didn't quite get there. They got blown wide open. Sometimes that happens with drafts against evenly matched teams.
Yeah.
DAMWON just seemed to have their number, though, today.
DAMWON just looking a lot more solid overall. Yes, they took the loss against Kingzone, but Kingzone is a fantastic team as well. They really put it to Griffin here in game number 1, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that 2-0, especially if Doran is going to stay in, and they're not going to sub him out with the Sword to come back in. So definitely an interesting turn of events here. We'll have to see how game number 2 comes in after this break.
하자.
내가 때려.
미드로 들어간다.
나 블라디아 들고 있어. 분장 있어.
야 블라디 막아줘. 싸우면 천천히 싸워봐.
해치는 중.
카이사 들어왔고. 카이사 들어왔고. 카이사 탈지.
카이사 왜 안?
아트부터 천천히.
나이스.
아트 볼게. 나 죽을 때 잘하면. 나 살겠다 이거. 살겠다.
대기로 깼다.
나이스.
야 2년 만에 대기로 깼다. 야.
그리핀 넥서스다.
학원이 형 나 눈물 날 뻔.
야 이제 한 대째야.
야 나는 13번 다 줬어. 다 나가서.
나 그럼 못했다 형.
잘했다.
잘했다.
그럼 지금부터 사운드 테스트 진행하겠습니다.
사운드 테스트.
그다음에 적들의 움직임이 수상해.
플레이
얘 좀 봐줘.
네.
테디 지금 바텀 보고 있는 거야? 플레이드 게임 중.
보스터 여기 좀 봐줘.
똥플릭 상황 보고 있는 거야?
적들의 움직임이 수상해.
더블릭 킹은 언제 오는 거야?
안감. 이거 봐.
잘 들리시고 있네. 네. 자,
싸울 준비.
왜 보고 있는 거야?
아 그거 괜찮아. 큐베 죽으면 그거 해. 큐베 상황 보고 있는 거야?
진짜.
이거 하세요. 알았지? 할 수 있다 생각하고 하라고.
정신 차려야겠습니다.
괜찮아.
노래 불러줘요?
시작 전에 불러줘. When you try your best. 나 이거 노래 안 들었는데 알 것 같아.
When you try your best but you don't succeed.
멘탈의 영향이.
알았어 안 할게.
좋아. 계속 한 소절만 더 해봐.
When you give what you know, not what you need.
약간 스페인어 같은데.
오케이.
대현이 형 긴장되면 말해. 제가 계속 불러드릴게요. 정해도 불러줄게요. 껌 있는 분. 생각해보니까 껌을 안 씹었네?
요즘 메타 껌 안 씹는 메타야.
아 그래?
안 먹냐 요즘?
껌 씹으면 저.
요즘 껌 안 씹냐?
네.
헐.
씹을 시간에 말해야 된다.
헐.
나 돼. 이래.
나 괜찮아.
이긴 거 같거든?
이거 왔다.
프레이.
나왔어 여기도. 이거 조이 높을. 오케이 이겼다. 조이 높을. 아 다행이다.
오케이 이겼다. 오케이. PT 왜 이렇게 잘해?
서울의 밤 멈들어간 도시 걸먹걸먹 걸으며
날들이 내 잃어버린 날들이.
집중합시다. 에이스 있어요.
빨리 못 오거든?
이거 레드 줄게.
야 아지르 봐줘 아지르.
아 우연히 봐줘. 아들. 아 잡아 있거든.
깼어. 많이 끝났어.
나이스. 그냥 기인형 파밍하다가 그냥 아 어떻게 카멜이 세주보다 딜량이 남냐.
아 네가 해보라고 야.
니가 그렇게 하면 가렌 해라 가렌. 그래 가렌 할까 이거? 가렌 해라 진짜. 가렌 할까? 나 같으면 딜량 5천 넣을 거면 가렌 한다.
딜량 5천이었냐?
5천 넣어야. 내가 딜량 2등이야 우리 팀.
뽀삐 저번에 뽀삐 잘하는 거
뽀삐 아닌 거 같아.
뽀삐 나한테 배울래?
큐니 뽀삐를 못하냐
기인형 사이언 제이스 상대로 사이언 넣는
아니 가렌 하니까? 아니 사이온을 왜 하냐고. 할 거면 오른을 하지.